It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hey there, beautiful humans. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, Queen Bee of this hive, your feminist life coach, your psychotherapist in your ear, and your weekly reminder that you do not have to shrink yourself to fit into this broken world. Today's topic, one that fires me up like no other: the sexualization of young girls, how society steals girlhood. Let's be real. Girlhood should be about curiosity, creativity, growth, belly laughs, scraped knees, and awkward self-discovery. But instead, our culture here in the US often hands girls a script that says, "You are a product. You're here to be looked at, not to live fully." Now, I say here in the US because that's what I've experienced, and I'm unsure of what it looks like around the world, but it's safe to say that the US is not the only place where this is a struggle. So, buckle up because we are not just skimming the surface today. We are diving into the history, the psychology, the media machinery, and most importantly, what we can do to fight back. Loud, clear, and unapologetically. So before I jump in, I just want to say I really struggled with this topic initially. I went back and forth as to whether or not I wanted to do it because I don't want this to turn into shaming or this feeling that I'm attacking people and trying to tell people that they need to be modest. That's not what I'm saying at all. So just keep in mind that I'm talking about a societal problem. I'm not talking about the way women dress at all. I'm going back to the roots. I'm going back to the sexualization of children. And like I said, I really wrestled with this because I don't want to offend anyone, and I don't want any of you beautiful women out there saying, "Oh my gosh, is she saying that I show too much cleavage?" No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what this is about. Which is why I almost didn't do the topic, but then I was like, well, screw it. I piss people off all the time anyway, so I might as well just go for it. And hopefully, actually, I know that my tried and true listeners will understand the place that I'm coming from and will not be offended at this. So, all right, let's begin with the cold, hard facts. The kind that make you sit up and say, what the actual hell are we doing to our girls? So back in 2007, the American Psychological Association released a groundbreaking report that rang every alarm bell that we should have been hearing decades before. They laid it out plain and clear. Sexualization happens when a person's value is reduced to their sexual appeal or behavior, and everything else about them gets pushed aside. Not their intelligence, not their creativity, not their strength, just their ability to be appealing to others, mostly through a male gaze. And let's be clear, this isn't just happening now and then. This isn't just a few bad ads or an occasional creepy comment. This is systemic. It is baked into our media, our marketing, our school systems, and even the way we casually talk about girls. It's not just cultural. It's commercial. It's intentional. It is everywhere. And it's been normal for far too long. Girls are exposed to that message from the jump. We're talking padded bikini tops being sold to 7-year-olds. We're talking preteens performing highly sexualized dances on TikTok because that's what gets likes. We're talking dolls, cartoons, and influencers that look more like pinups than kids. And again, let's be crystal clear. This is not about modesty. This is not about suppressing self-expression or policing how girls dress or act. It is about demanding that the world stop projecting adult desires, judgments, and expectations onto our children. It's about carving out space where girls are allowed to be kids, for crying out loud. Those silly, messy, awkward, and gloriously unfiltered children, without the pressure to be pleasing or polished or sexy. I don't know about you, but when I hear the word sexy in the same sentence as child, it gives me ick beyond all ick. We're not talking about a war on fashion or fun here. We are talking about a culture that asks children to perform sexiness before they even know what the hell that means. That's not empowerment, people. That is freaking exploitation. And we have to name it for what it is if we're ever going to dismantle it. Sexualization shows up in so many ways. TV shows and movies that cast teenage girls in adult roles, then dress and film them like they're 25. Dress codes that single out girls for wearing leggings or tank tops, while boys skate by unnoticed. Instagram and TikTok algorithms that reward sexualized content with virality, while thoughtful, creative content from girls gets buried. Comments from adults, even well-meaning ones, like, "You're going to break hearts someday," or "You're such a little lady." And this is not harmless. It is deeply damaging. Studies link the sexualization of girls to a host of mental health challenges, many of which I have seen constantly in my practice. Some of them include depression and anxiety, body dysmorphia, disordered eating, poor academic performance, and increased likelihood of sexual harassment and victimization. People, this is all preventable. When we sexualize young girls, we don't just objectify them. We literally hijack their reality. We interrupt their natural development and implant a toxic belief that their value lies in being attractive to others, especially men. It becomes less about who they are and more about how they are seen. We steal away the sacred space of girlhood, a time that should be filled with self-discovery, creativity, and freedom, and replace it with the exhausting burden of performance. Instead of asking, "What lights me up?" these girls are trained to ask, "How do I look while I'm doing this?" And that pressure, my friends, creates a very warped lens through which they view themselves and the world around them, eroding confidence and authenticity at the root. We train girls to be hyper aware of their appearance from the time they can walk and talk. They begin to self-monitor, adjusting their clothes, their posture, their voices, their laughter, even their personalities, all to align with a societal mold that was never made with their full humanity in mind. Instead of being encouraged to explore who they are taught to filter themselves through a lens of acceptability, of desirability, of pretty enough but not too much. The message is loud and clear. Their worth is conditional, and it depends on how well they perform femininity for others. And that self-surveillance, it's exhausting. It chips away at confidence before it even has a chance to form. So, what do we do about it? Well, we rise the hell up. We fight back like our lives and the lives of the next generation depend on it. Because frankly, they do. We stop whispering and we start shouting. We stop second-guessing ourselves and start disrupting the narrative. We get loud, we get intentional, and we get relentless. And we don't wait for permission. We start right where we are, in our homes, our classrooms, our group chats, our workplaces. Change does not need a stage. It needs a spark. Ladies, be that spark. So here are 8 powerful steps to begin dismantling this toxic cycle. Step 1, name it. You can't dismantle what you don't see. Start noticing it everywhere, because it is everywhere. Whether it's a music video with underage dancers styled like adults, an ad where the only goal is to sell through sex appeal, or a Halloween costume for kids that looks like it belongs in a nightclub. Don't brush it off. Call it what it is: sexualization. Say it out loud. Talk about it at the dinner table, in PTA meetings, on social media. Drag it into the light. Expose it, because silence is complicity. Step 2, talk with the girls in your life. Normalize critical thinking about media. Don't just tell them what's wrong. Ask what they see, feel, and question. Invite curiosity. Ask things like, why do you think that character always wears that? Or, what message do you think this commercial is sending about girls? Let the conversation flow without judgment. Encourage them to challenge what they are consuming and to speak up when something feels off. Teach them that they have agency, that their thoughts matter and their voices are powerful. Let them lead and listen deeply. This isn't just about protection. It's about empowerment. Step 3, challenge double standards. If your school, community, or workplace enforces dress codes or behavioral norms that target girls more harshly than boys, do not just accept it. Speak up. Question the rules. Ask why shoulders or thighs are considered a distraction, but boys' behavior never is. Write emails. Demand policy reviews. Attend school board meetings and bring allies. Share stories and data. Be the squeaky wheel, the vocal parent, the bold teacher, the teen who won't stay silent. Because those double standards, They do not just enforce sexism, they teach it. And change, my friends, often starts with one loud, persistent voice refusing to sit down. Be that voice. Refuse to be silenced. Step number 4, model bodily neutrality and self-love. Don't just tell girls they're more than their looks. Show them by living that truth out loud. Speak kindly about your own body, even on days when it's hard. Let them hear you say things like, "My body helps me do incredible things," or "I love how strong I feel after that hike." Compliment girls on their intelligence, their humor, resilience, leadership, kindness, creativity, everything besides how they look. Celebrate their boldness. Please, for the love of our next generation, celebrate the boldness of a young girl. Applaud their problem solving. Lift up their spirit, not their damn outfit. Ask when you hear them criticize their appearance. Don't dismiss it. Open a conversation. Ask them where that belief came from. Show them with your words and actions that worth is not tied to beauty. That loving yourself does not mean perfection. It means presence, power, and permission to be whole. A little confession here. I failed miserably at this step throughout my entire life and as a mother. And I will forever regret that. My children have heard me complain about my body and watched me diet over and over and over. And it makes me so incredibly sad that I missed out on the opportunity to teach my children that self-worth is not tied to appearance. Please learn from my mistakes on this one. Step number 5, encourage creative expression. Make space and protect it fiercely for art, music, writing, building forts, putting on impromptu shows, and trying things just for the joy of it, kind of in hopes even of failure, because we learn when we fail, right? Celebrate that messy middle, not just the polished end. Don't let creativity get boxed in by what's appropriate or cute. Let girls be weird, wild, and wonderfully themselves without asking them to be pleasing. Let them experiment with color, sound, silence, movement, without performance, perfection, or praise as the goal. Create room for their little voices to take up space, for their imaginations to run loud and free. Because when a girl is given full permission to create for herself, not for approval, she taps into something sacred and sovereign. Step 6, and this is an important one, especially in today's day and age, limit harmful media exposure. You don't need to shelter girls from the world, but you can become a conscious curator of their digital landscape. Create balance by introducing them to books, shows, games, and creators who uplift, empower, and feature multidimensional female characters. Seek out media that celebrates girls for their courage, intelligence, weirdness, wit, and heart, not just their appearance. Watch shows with them. Talk about what you see. Ask them, what do you like about this character? Or, how does this make you feel about yourself? Help them to develop a stronger inner compass, not just filters. And if something feels off or harmful, say so. Do not normalize media that degrades, diminishes, or distorts girlhood. Make room for joy, wonder, and stories that fuel their fire instead of dimming their light. Step 7. Call out adultification bias loudly and consistently. Black and brown girls are especially harmed by the stereotype that they are older, more sexual, and less innocent than their white peers. This racialized lens does not just distort perception. It fuels disproportionate punishment in schools, lack of protection from abuse, and over-sexualization from media and adults alike. Pay attention to how this bias shows up in dress codes, disciplinary actions, and everyday interactions. And please, speak up when you see it. Share data. Start conversations. Demand culturally competent education and accountability from institutions. Advocate for an intersectional lens in every space you occupy, because true protection means centering the most marginalized voices. Their girlhood is just as sacred and just as worthy of fierce defense. And finally, step 8, do your own healing. Many of us were sexualized before we even hit puberty. We were called mature for our age, pressured to smile pretty, touched or looked at in ways that felt wrong. Ladies, you deserve healing. You deserve to reclaim your story and rewrite your ending. If you need help with that, it would be my pleasure to assist in your healing journey. I have watched countless women transform into their most empowered selves during their work with me, and I would love to watch your transformation as well. Please reach out if you need help in this area. All right, and now it's time for our quote of the week, something to carry with you, something to root you as you move through the world. Soraya Chemaly states, "When little girls are taught to see themselves through the eyes of others, they stop looking for themselves in the mirror." Ladies, let's rewrite that mirror. Let's teach our girls and ourselves to look into it and see a full, wild, radiant self. Not a body to be assessed, not a performance to be critiqued, but a soul, a story, a revolution. All right, my friends, here is your call to action this week. Interrupt the sexualization narrative in one moment, just one. That might mean speaking up about a marketing campaign, complimenting a young girl on her curiosity instead of her dress, shutting down a sexist joke, or unfollowing that influencer who sells sex under the banner of empowerment. It's these little actions that add up to tidal waves. And of course, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, a parent, a teacher, a mentor. We, as always, rise louder and stronger together. Until next time, my hive, keep amplifying, keep unlearning, keep protecting girlhood, and reclaiming your own. Love you, my hive. See you next time. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.